Good morning. Welcome to another video. You know how much morning routines matter, just for like mental health reasons, but I just have this nature to me that when I wake up, I have to immediately start doing something. Otherwise, I will just like stand around and look at a wall. And so like I actually really look forward to my routine. I also think it's partially due, to the fact that I have carbs in the morning, and I only have carbs like with 2 meals on normal days. On high days, I have them like spread throughout the day, but most days they're lower. So I think I just look forward to my morning routine for like the routineness of it. I'm getting like dopamine. It's simple. I wake up, I get dressed, I'm going out into the kitchen, I make my food, I make my supplements, I sit down, I do a little prayer and gratitude, and then I eat my food, and then I head out the door in about like 15 minutes after I'm done eating. So normally, yeah, that's how my morning goes. And I just enjoy it. It's just like, there's like a peace to it when you're up that early and nobody's bothering you, and you just have like these small little tasks to do. And every time you finish one, it's like you get a little reward from finishing it, but you also get a little reward of like ingesting the substance. Like I'm eating my breakfast, I'm taking my delicious supplements. It is, if you don't have a morning routine, I highly recommend you get one. All right, so we're gonna go to the gym right now, and it is about 5:54 on a Sunday, and we are 2 weeks out. All right, so today I am going to do some back, and I'm gonna fucking crush it. I've had so many carbs the last 2 days, and now I feel like it's time to put these to use. So I'm going to be hitting some back. I'm gonna start with some extension stuff, hit some rows, do some pullovers, probably some pull-ups, pull-downs, and then I'll probably throw in some biceps in there. I may do a little bit of abs today too. And then I'm gonna hit a little bit of 20 minutes of stairs towards the end here, because I've been trying to add that in at least three to 4 days a week, a little bit of post-lift cardio. All right, this is gonna be the heaviest I have probably ever done this exercise, but I'm feeling good today. I got a lot of energy in the tank here, so I'm gonna try to push it a little bit, see what I can do. Okay, so I have about 185 on the bar right there. And again, with this movement, it's very important that you do not go heavy. Okay, because this movement in itself puts your back in a vulnerable position, but it's one of the only ways that you could train it in loaded extension, which means like when you're actually going backwards, unless you have some unique machine. And I don't really like that pin-loaded extension that you see people just leaning back against and using their body weight for. This one, you're using gravity as your profile to really try to pull out of the pocket. It's a more natural movement because we're bending over a lot in life. And if you want to strengthen up your spine, you should probably do something where you load that movement. That way you strengthen all those back muscles that pull you out of the pocket here. So let's try this way. Oh. 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 Ooh. Oh, fuck. Now that was more like it. Ooh, that one got me sweating. All right, let's get moving on. I want to do some dumbbell pullovers. Such a 90s movement, but that right there is single-handedly one of the best things to add fucking girth to your lats. And normally what I do is I'll do some barbell rowing first after I've done that extension. But today I'm just gonna jump right into some lat pullovers, and I'm gonna come back to the barbell movement towards the end once my whole back's cooked. So let's go jump and do that. All right, first things first, check the bench. Some of these wobble, and that is not what I want when I'm trying to check my back. This one will be all right. Wobbles a little bit, we'll be fine. Okay, I'm gonna do some dumbbell pullovers now. So, biggest thing when it comes to any pullover movement is if you're using a free weight, you gotta make sure you don't use a weight that's gonna snap your fucking shoulders, okay? I'm trying to pull through, okay? I'm not trying to go straight arms. I'm trying to bend my elbows and drive through because I'm trying to get this movement right here where I engage this meaty part of my lat. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab like a 65-ish, maybe a 70, and I'm gonna pop on this bench and we'll do some pullovers. Okay. The 70 was calling my name. All right. You have to make sure you're doing the same movements repetitively because you got to master them, right? Like you shouldn't be moving on and changing movements all the time if you haven't yet mastered the ones that can bring you the highest return, okay? So I'm gonna hit these dumbbell pullovers, and I've been doing these for probably like maybe 4 weeks now, and I'll probably continue to do them for like another 8 weeks. You know, I'll keep them in a nice block there, or until they start feeling less effective, and then I have to change it up. So let's go ahead and hit these. No problem. All right, friends, that is going to be a wrap for me today. I have to go charge my car, and then I'm heading home. So I was going to do stairs, but I decided instead that I'm going to go home and I'm going to walk in this beautiful weather today. I'm going to get some sun. So no stairs today, just running home. I'm going to do some cardio outside. So Nagar, I was going to spend the day with her, but apparently she has plans with one of her friends, which is one of my clients. Also one of my friends, ironically. All right, anyway, I got to charge the car. I have my protein shake with me. I'm going to have that, and then I'm going to head home for the day. I got a lot of editing to do, friends, so I'm going to get to that. I will see you tomorrow.
Too often we make a separation in our lives. There is work and there is life outside work, where we find real pleasure and fulfillment. Work is often seen as a means for making money so we can enjoy that second life that we lead. Even if we derive some satisfaction from our careers, we still tend to compartmentalize our lives in this way. This is a depressing attitude, because in the end, we spend a substantial part of our waking life at work. If we experience this time as something to get through on the way to real pleasure, then our hours at work represent a tragic waste of the short time we have to live.
Oh, man. I think that is a fantastic point. You know, if you don't enjoy what you're doing, then why do it at all? Like, if the concept of money didn't exist, which I know we do live in a world where it does, so we can't really pretend that it doesn't. However, if money was not your main center of focus, say you were financially set, right? How would you spend your time, the short time you have here? Something to reflect on, you know? Are you doing something right now that feels intrinsically linked to your character, like in your personality? Do you feel like you're doing something that's fulfilling, enriching, you're being of service, you're using your gifts? Or do you feel like you need to get through the day just so you can get to doing the thing that you do want to do? And I know people are at different stages of their life, and it requires them to make sacrifices. However, what plans are you making to get to that point to where you spend your time the way that you want it, instead of having to sacrifice it doing things that you don't want to do? Like, how do you live a life worth living? If you scale out and you get a bird's eye view and you look at your life and you think, am I heading in a direction towards the mountain being the peak of your life? The mountain being the ultimate gift, you know, being able to see the entire landscape, all that you've worked for. You need to ask yourself, are you making decisions each and every day that are leading you there? Do you have a realistic view of your timeline? Or are you just allowing the timeline to unfold itself? I definitely feel like there's two different trains of thought there. Allowing your fate to unfold without interference from yourself, or aggressively pursuing it once you know what it is. Maybe it's a fair balance between the two. I don't know. Either way, find a life worth living, and, you know, live a life by design, you know, not by circumstance. And, you know, there is a fair amount of fate in God, and I would say environmental intervention. You know, there's a lot of things and circumstances that will push you along the way that end up contributing to the bigger picture that maybe you can't see yet. However, are you still taking daily actions to make sure that you're working towards your goals? And if you're not, well, then you better figure out what those are. Good morning, happy Monday, and I think it's time to get after it. What do you say? Good morning, friends. I am on my way to the gym right now. It is 5:30 on a Wednesday. In the past week or so, I have been driving in myself because Nagar and I are on a little bit different schedules now. She works out in Mesa, and obviously I work out in North Scottsdale. So the drive difference is 40 minutes between her work and the gym, and I get done early generally these past week or so, just because I've needed to rearrange my schedule a little bit. So I'll get done around 2 or 3 o'clock, and I don't want to wait until 6 p.m. until she gets there to pick me up. So we've just been driving in separate, and it's been a little bit different morning routine. However, it's nice to be able to leave when I have to leave. Especially when we're counting down the days here and things are getting close. So today I have some arms. I fucking blasted my legs yesterday. You know, I always try to follow up like my favorite day of the week with like the least favorite day of the week. And I know people like, oh, I like training arms, man. You know, you like the pump you get from training arms. Like, training arms is real, like actually boring as fuck. Like nobody wants to, I don't want to say nobody. I guess nobody wants to train legs. That's why nobody has fucking legs these days. But with me, it's like I just rather fucking hit something that's like taxing. Like the arms are just like a big pump workout, you know? So I got some arms today. We're counting on the days. I think we're about 10 days out, and I'm getting awfully excited. You know, last night I had a little clip of me wearing with both my, I was wearing a waist trainer, and then I was also wearing a posture brace. It looked like I was wearing a full suit of lingerie. I'll show you the video. It was just, it just makes me realize the extremes that I'm willing to go through in order to self-experiment. Now, like, some people are very goal-oriented in terms of like, you know, I'm just going to focus on this end result, right? Me, I'm more of an experienced focused person. So like, I'm looking to like enjoy the experience of learning all these new things and the ways that I like, you know, start to, I guess, self-experiment with my body. You know, I think the knowledge and the utility that you gain from that and the self-insight is just so valuable. And I just have a lot of fun with it. So, you know, this prep has definitely taught me a lot in terms of what I can accomplish. It's definitely the leanest I've ever been. I'm like 8% body fat right now, so I'm pretty fucking lean. I can't wait. I can't wait to go on stage. You know, what's crazy is I haven't practiced any type of posing routine. And it's strange because I'm not a plan-oriented person. In fact, if you tell me what to do, I won't do it. I need to find a way to do it myself. What makes sense to me, you know, what vibes with my natural personality traits and my system of thinking. And if it doesn't align with that, well, then I just won't do it. And I don't like somebody just saying, you need to follow it this way because this is what worked for me. And it's like, look, I'll take your experience seriously. Like, I'll take your insight and your advice seriously. But I'm not going to follow an instruction manual because that is not what you did to get there, right? You went through some self-experimentation. You went through the process of making mistakes. And I think if you try to like bridge that gap, if you try to get out of doing that, I think you actually hurt yourself long-term. You know, you have to learn through application. You can't learn through following a step-by-step system. Unless someone's a type of mentor that says, well, how does it feel to you? What do you think about it? You know, how should you go about fixing this problem? Because then now they're training your capacity to think rather than training your capacity to follow. So like, one of my biggest coaching tips for people is you need to train a new system of thinking. You need to train yourself to learn how to think, not learn how to follow. Okay, a plan can be fantastic for you in terms of understanding where to get started if you're completely clueless. However, if you're past the stage of being clueless, self-experimentation and a little bit of finesse, and acting more into that creative role of learning to connect with yourself in different ways, I think that has more value long-term. So I guess it's a long-winded way of saying, find a way that works for you, and then you hit the gas. And that's exactly what this prep has been. So, all right, now I'm going to drink my pre-workout, listen to my audiobook, do my normal morning routine, and I will see you at the gym for some arms today. fucking dude is parked so close to me. Oh, I'm a gentleman of not so average stature, and I cannot be doing that. I was like, my shoulders were like rubbing against this dude's mirror. He parked his fucking Expedition literally right on top of my Jeep. Anyway, it is Friday, my friends, and it is my last day of work before I start prep for peak week. Before I start prep for peak week. I'm in prep. Shit. Anyway, yeah, my brain's all over the place today. So, today was my last day of work for the week. I'm not coming back until the 14th of August, so I took all next week off, and I'm going to just strictly focus on the peak week itself, try to gather as much information as possible, try to understand how my body, goes through this process of manipulating a couple different variables to try to get my best look coming on stage here. So I'm going to try to take some copious notes, both mentally and maybe even physically through this process. I'm going to try to document as much as I can. I will be home, so I will have plenty of time to do that. But I just want to try to understand what this process is like firsthand. I got somewhat of a structure to follow in terms of manipulating water, and then it'll just strictly be based off a look. So, yeah. But I think I'm going to end this vlog here. This is the official end of 2 weeks. We are 8 days out now from competition. Can you believe that? I started off on this journey, starting to film this process at 12 weeks out, 13 weeks out, I think. And I've learned a lot. And what I did learn most of all is time fucking flies when you're having fun. When you learn to enjoy your routines, love the process, not focus on the progress, it really makes the progress come faster, but it also makes you enjoy the time that you spend doing the activity. So I've had a lot of fun with this. I hope you've had a lot of fun following along. And, I hope you guys learned something just as well as I did during this process. But I'm very, very excited. I'm going to see how I do in this competition. My anticipation is, my hope is that I win this competition. I'm competing in a novice division, which I don't think I'm going to have an issue with that. But then when I get to my class and then the open and the overall, I'm hoping that I win them all. So hopefully you'll see 3 medals around my neck next time. Actually, it won't be next time you see me because I'm going to do a video next week, but maybe the time after that. And yeah. And maybe if I could win this show, maybe I'll do the Amateur Olympia. Who knows? But that's in the future. I won't plan too far ahead. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. If you could, go ahead and hit the like button down below for me. And then also let me know, what about this prep have you found most interesting? Is there anything that you want to see more of? You want me to go in more detail with? You want to see more workouts? You want more education stuff? You want some more stuff on nutrition, bodybuilding, lifestyle? You like to have my wife in the videos? Tell me what you like down below, and then I'll make sure that I get some of that in there for you. But again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one when we are 1 week out.